Kalen, you know my tales as a section hiker on many trails, but particularly the Appalachian Trail. The second person who did a through hike recently died. Let's have a dialogue about Gene Espy. Imagine walking 2,000 miles through pure wilderness, Kalen, going weeks without seeing another human being. That's precisely what Gene Espy did in 1951 when he became just the second person ever to complete the Appalachian Trail.
That's incredible to think about, Pappy, especially considering he did this with equipment that would seem primitive by today's standards. What kind of gear did he even have access to back then?
While his original equipment is actually still on display at Amicalola Falls State Park, he had to be incredibly resourceful, developing this whole system of mailing supplies ahead of himself and surviving on a no-cook diet of sandwiches and dehydrated foods.
Hmm. Wow. And he started the hike with a friend who dropped out after just one day, right?
That's right. Can you imagine? Just 24 years old, fresh out of Georgia Tech, and suddenly facing 2,000 miles of wilderness completely alone. The trail was barely finished, with few markers and almost no established shelters.
You know what fascinates me? He first learned about the trail from his seventh grade teacher in Cordele, Georgia. That seed of adventure took years to grow into something remarkable.
And speaking of remarkable, this guy was extraordinary even before the trail. He became Cordele's first Eagle Scout, served in the Navy during World War II, and was valedictorian of his high school class. Then at Georgia Tech, he played clarinet in the marching band while studying engineering.
He clearly possessed a perfect combination of planning skills and an adventurous spirit. I mean, he built his own wooden powerboats and even rode his motorcycle up Stone Mountain just for fun.
Oh man. And get this, at 16, he did a 740-mile solo bicycle trip. 16. Can you imagine letting your teenager do that today? He also sailed 300 miles solo down the Ocmulgee River to the Intracoastal Waterway.
That's absolutely wild. And yet, he balanced all this adventure with a successful 30-year career as an aerospace engineer at Robbins Air Force Base.
What really touches me about Gene's story is when he finally reached Mount Katahdin after those 123 days of hiking, the first thing he did was kneel and thank God. He said he wanted to see God through nature during his hike.
Well, that spiritual connection seemed to stay with him throughout his life. He remained active in his church and community right up until the end.
And he never stopped giving back to the hiking community. He'd spend time at Amicalola Falls State Park, sharing stories with new hikers, showing off his original equipment. He also always wanted to hear about other people's adventures.
That's what makes a true pioneer. Not just blazing the trail, but helping others follow in your footsteps.
Exactly. And think about this. During his lifetime, he saw the Appalachian Trail transform from an almost unknown wilderness path to one of the most famous hiking trails in the world. When he did it, the southern terminus wasn't even at Springer Mountain yet.
And now thousands attempt to through hike each year. What a legacy to leave behind.
You know, he had this saying about taking life one step at a time through challenges. I think that's what made him special. He showed us that with careful planning, determination, and a spirit of adventure, ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things.
Pappy, that trail stands as a living monument to pioneers like Gene. 2,000 miles of possibility, challenge, and transformation.
And while we've lost him physically at the age of 97, Kalen, his legacy lives on in every hiker who sets foot on that trail, in every person who pushes their limits in the wilderness, and in the very spirit of adventure that defines the Appalachian Trail. One step at a time, just as he always said,